know, I know there are a lot of other questions, but I'm looking at the clock, and we have about 5 minutes, so unless...
Maybe we can get 2 or 3 together, and
I was going to actually ask you to provide a summary that looks forward, if possible. I mean, we could do it not as a question, but I think that given the amount of time, I think the group might...
Yeah, we could get 2 or 3 questions, and I could then try to sum it up. That's all right.
All right. I don't want to be cast as Jim Lehrer.
Okay, all right. Okay. Hi, my name is Panayota Gunari. I'm an associate professor at UMass Boston. And I'm sure you know that there's a new book out. The author is the former Greek representative to IMF, Mr. Roumeliotis. And this book talks about what happened, you know, backstage, basically, behind the scenes of our resorting to the IMF. So among other things, Mr. Roumeliotis says that many members of the IMF's executive committee strategy believed from the outset that the Greek program was unmanageable and destined to fail and could not be implemented without a debt restructuring. So Mr. Roumeliotis said that he advised you on Strauss-Kahn's advice to negotiate the restructuring of the debt, and that you and the then finance minister, Mr. Papandreou, did not do anything about it. So you had very strong negotiating weapons on the table, and you didn't use them. He also says that he questions even the necessity of resorting to the IMF support mechanism. He says, as a country, we shouldn't do that. We could have done what is called the precautionary mechanism, which we, again, didn't do, with the detrimental consequences that we have right now in Greece, because I cannot consider a success the fact that we have 24% unemployment. We have 439,000 children living under the threshold of poverty. So I'm wondering, are these statements that Mr. Roumeliotis, who was working closely with you, true? And if they're not true, are you going to seek legal action against him?
Like to ask some more questions, George? Well, maybe I should have that as a separate answer. First of all, he's made some public statements, but if you read his book, it's not far from the truth. But he doesn't know all the truth, of course, because he only saw one side. The fact that I actually asked for, I discussed debt restructuring, but you know who was against it? The ECB. They would not talk about it at all, and most of the partners, almost all the partners for the European Union, they said no. One of the reasons why was, I mean, the ECB, for obvious reasons, they didn't want, and they were against it for a long time. And secondly, the partners said, we will not accept, we won't give you any money if you can't restructure debt. I'll tell you one reason why they were saying it. They were saying it's moral hazard. You show us that you are reforming your country, because, as one German industrialist told me at some point, we'll give you a haircut as long as you make sure you don't grow hair again. That's basically saying growing the debt again. So they had to show that we were credible. We were not, from the previous government, a credible country. I could not credibly say, I mean, I was putting my credibility on the line, but I had to prove, we had to prove that we were going to take action. Secondly, Mr. Roumeliotis says that the interest rate of the loan was very high. It was. And I asked to lower it. Again, Strauss-Kahn said, we will lower it at a later stage once you show that you have moved. And it did happen. We did get the lower loan. I would have liked from the very beginning. Although there are economists that said we never should have done the haircut, because that has created a question of credibility not only for Greece but maybe for other countries too. But that's a different question. That would mean much more money from the European Union to take up our debt and pay for our debt and stretch it out and for a long period of time. So, if you read Roumeliotis carefully, you will see he said, yes, he knew that some countries were against restructuring, and yes, he knew that this was difficult. So, I think he didn't know the other part of the story. And now, that you can judge whether he was right. He was a representative, an ambassador of the country at that time. But he didn't negotiate with Merkel. He didn't negotiate with Trichet. He didn't negotiate with others. My dilemma was that if I did not get into this mechanism, the other, and the so-called, what do they call it, the precautionary or the money that we
precautionary
was very little. It had nothing to do with 110 million. It was maybe 10 million. We got 110 million. You know,
you said about the special drawing rights
special drawing rights,
that he had, that Greece could draw on out of its IMF account. They were like $18 billion. It was nothing to solve the problem. The IMF was not the game. It was Germany and the other European partners and the ECB. So really the OTs had not much.
Yeah, I would just add on to this that the question of the dilemma that I had was very simple. Very difficult, very simple. Either I get this package, or we default. If we default, it wouldn't be 24%. I mean, I don't like 24% at all, or 20% or whatever, or even 10% of unemployment. But we would have had a major catastrophe. People would have lost completely their savings. We would most likely exit the euro, and we would have most likely kicked out half of the public employees of Greece. So that was it was between a difficult situation and a hard rock, as they say.
Do you really want to take another question? Do you want us to wrap up? I'm trying to watch the clock.